Nestled in the suburban town of Amityville, Long Island, stands an unassuming house with a dark history that has terrified and captivated millions.
6 members of one family have been found shot to death in their night clothes in their expensive home in Amityville, Long Island. The only available information at this moment, according to the Amityville Village Police, is that the victims have been identified as members of the DeFeo family. They were found by a 23-year-old son, Ronald DeFeo, who is believed to be the only surviving member of the family. 6 members of the family found shot to death in their home in Amityville, Long Island. We will have further details on the 11 o'clock news.
This is the story of the Amityville Horror. On the surface, 112 Ocean Avenue appears to be just another charming colonial home. But behind its doors lies a tale of murder, mystery, and malevolent forces that have fueled books, movies, and endless speculation. Our story begins on November 13th, 1974.
He opened the door, and he was screaming, "Come on, help me, somebody shot my mother and father." Everyone ran out of the bar, and that was it. They all took off. No, I had to stay, I was tending bar. They all jumped in his car and took off.
Ronald DeFeo Jr., a troubled young man, brutally murdered his entire family while they slept. His parents and 4 younger siblings were all found shot to death. DeFeo claimed that voices in his head urged him to commit the murders.
Today, police combed the DeFeo's handsome 3-story house for clues while divers explored the backyard swimming pool for the still unfound murder weapon. Police have been questioning the son, Ronald, and now say he is being, quote, safeguarded. Investigators say without explanation that they now feel young DeFeo was in the house at the time of the murders, but they're not yet considering him a suspect. And so forth.
We have no suspect at this time. We have no indication of the motive at this time.
What about Ronald DeFeo, the son, the surviving son?
Ronald is being safeguarded by the Suffolk County Police at this time.
Why safeguarded?
Why? Because the 6 members of the family dead, and we don't know why, and he's the sole remaining member.
Is he also a suspect?
He's not a suspect at this time.
DeFeo was swiftly arrested and later convicted of the killings, but his defense raised chilling questions. Could there be a sinister force at work within the house? The public's fascination with the case was only just the beginning.
But those who did describe them as close-knit.
Well, I think they were just very sweet, very religious people, very family-minded people. And that's about all I could say. Very good, very generous, just tight. Very close with their children.
There's one element in the usual mass murder story which seems to be missing from this case. There's no sense of fear in this community. No feeling of a mass murderer on the loose. People we talked to seem to feel that whatever was the motive for this crime, it had something to do with the family. It's not something that's going to return to bother anyone else. In Amityville, Long Island, Phil Barno, News Center 4.
Just over a year after the DeFeo murders, George and Kathy Lutz moved into the house with their 3 children. They believed they were starting a new chapter in their lives. Little did they know, they were stepping into a nightmare.
Now, back in November 1975, 6 people were killed in an awful mass murder. I know it's got to be awful, in a small town on Long Island. The town is called Amityville. The murders took place in this house. 1 year later, George and Kathleen Lutz bought the house, and they moved into it with their 3 children. After living there for 28 days, they were convinced the house was possessed by some kind of evil force, and they left their belongings and they fled, and they were really terrified.
The Lutzes claimed that from the moment they moved in, they were plagued by an overwhelming sense of dread. George Lutz reported waking up at 3:15 a.m. every night, the exact time of the DeFeo murders. Strange odors, cold spots, and unexplained noises became a daily torment. Then, things turned physical. Green slime oozed from the walls, doors were ripped from their hinges, and a demonic face appeared in the fireplace. The most terrifying incident involved their daughter Missy, who befriended an invisible entity named Jody that took the form of a demonic pig. Desperate for relief, the Lutzes called in a priest to bless the house. As he began the blessing, he was overwhelmed by an unseen force, compelling him to leave, warning the family to get out.
Had either of you had any experience before with the occult or the supernatural, ever before?
We didn't believe in it.
Were you afraid for your children? Why didn't you leave earlier than the 28 days if you were terrified?
Well, it was our house. First of all, we had never intended to give it up. Even after we moved out, we intended to find out what was wrong and move back in there. That's why the investigation was held, and people from different psychic research groups that at least we could check their credentials were called in and asked to come in. We've been asked many times why we stayed so long. It's very hard to remember the exact emotions or the moment why you would make a decision or why not.
But you finally did make it.
Well, by the time we left, we had lost a considerable amount of weight. Kathy was passing out quite regularly. I had lost over 26 pounds. And we were just reacting from one happening to another. We weren't really...
So you were generally shook up.
We weren't thinking, as we normally would.
After just 28 days, the Lutz family fled the house in the middle of the night, leaving all their possessions behind. Their harrowing ordeal would later be detailed in Jay Anson's book, The Amityville Horror, which became a bestseller and sparked a media frenzy. The book's success spawned a series of movies that brought the terrifying tale to an even wider audience, forever cementing the house's reputation as one of America's most haunted homes. But not everyone was convinced. Skeptics argued that the Lutzes fabricated the story for financial gain, pointing to inconsistencies in their accounts. Paranormal investigators, however, continued to report strange phenomena at the house. Today, the house at 112 Ocean Avenue has changed hands several times, and its infamous quarter-moon windows have been replaced. Despite this, its dark legacy endures. Whether you believe in the supernatural or not, the Amityville Horror remains a chilling reminder of the unknown.
My name is Patty Camarado. I was friends with Allison DeFeo, a girl who was murdered with the rest of her family here in 1974. This I'm going to show you is the mysterious red room that's so noted for in the book. This door, which they say was never here, was here, is here, always will be here, I suppose. This is the red room. Nothing more than a storage area where Allison and her brothers and I used to keep toys. Just red, you know? There was never any feeling of spirit presence or ghosts or any sort of thing like that. It was just a play area. We used to keep toys. Nothing more than that.